Thanks, David. And now we're moving south to South America. And it's with great pleasure that I present Professor Silvia Sartor. Silvia has been involved with ICANN for many years, and she's a researcher at the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil. She has a background in biology and oceanography. Since 1993, she's been working in geotechnologies, and she's been leading up the development of the Santos Web Atlas, which she will now tell us more about. So, Sylvia, you have 5 minutes, including questions. So please take it from there.
Silvia, please unmute.
Olá, boa tarde. Estou tentando
Hello, good afternoon.
mostrar minha apresentação.
I am attempting to share my presentation on screen.
Bem, boa tarde a todos. Muito grata pelo
Okay.
convite.
So good afternoon to one and all. Thank you so much for having invited me to participate.
Protótipo e ele
Let me start by saying that this atlas is a prototype that was created to decode the academic language and turn it into a practical language for the public at
A
large.
motivação para desenvolver esse atlas foi a constatação
Now,
de que nos licenciamentos
the reason why we were motivated to create this atlas stemmed from the fact that there was a lot of interest from governments
reduzir as exigências legais quanto
in
a esse
governments were interested in bringing down the legal requirements for this effort. Now, evidently, there were some hindrances that needed to be overcome. There were lots of issues with the language used, and the number of volumes published on environmental impact made it difficult for managers to have a full understanding of the situation, especially when you resort to a more academic language, which is quite more complicated for the public at large. And this made it difficult for the public to do something about these issues because they fail to fully understand the content of the reports. So this atlas was developed in this region, in the Santos port in the Sao Paulo region. This is a very diverse ecosystem. We have very high biodiversity, but there are very vulnerable places as well, vulnerable ecosystems, vulnerable population. And this is also a region that has a lot of activity in the ports, the oil platforms, oil rigs, and many different, many hazardous activities. So initially, this coastal web atlas was geared to the user. It meant to be user friendly. It is a web atlas that allows us to create these maps as thematic maps that include different indicators. And so we have a map that has different layers that presents different levels of knowledge. The idea was to use each of the different layers in a comprehensive manner with the participation of various experts in developing each of these layers. Now, the language that we use to depict this is color-based. We have 5 levels of impact depicted in colors to allow us to establish comparisons in different areas. And working this way allows us to have a very intuitive collaborative effort and allows us to add up data of different sites that allow us to have a clear differentiation in space and time in order to assess impacts. It is also possible to establish a correlation of different topics. This allows us to understand the different cause and effect reactions. And this is quite useful for assessment purposes. This region has been the victim of several environmental accidents and catastrophes, and we work with many fisheries in the region. We're in contact with 2,000 fishing families that today, thanks to the information that we have offered them, have been able to have access to environmental compensation. Now, this is not enough time to be able to cover everything, but let me just conclude by saying that we just published this in an American journal. So whoever is interested in looking or delving deeper into this, please look it up. And I thank you again and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Silvia, for that presentation. And perhaps you could put the web address of the Santos Web Atlas in the chat so that people can link directly to it. I think that would be helpful.